We're in the midst of a huge transformation where our peers, communities, and workplaces are all really melding into one. Welcome to Reimagining Company Culture. My name is Christina Giordano, she, her, and hers, and I am the Senior Partnerships Manager here at AllVoices. Today, I am very excited to welcome our next guest on the interview series, Valeria Stokes. She's the Vice President of Human Resources at Erie Family Health Center. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to share a little bit about yourself for our listeners, including your pronouns, and when you were younger, do you remember how exactly you answered the question, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Will do. Pronouns that I use are she and hers. So when I think about what I wanted to be when I grew up, it generally was kind of what kids wanted to be, firemen, policemen, even cowboys. But in reality, I knew that I wanted to be of service of some sort. And that would have been, I thought of being a medical technician. It came forward in nursing, but I did know that whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to make a difference. And that drew me to healthcare. It also helps having healthcare in the family. So that is why I'm here.
Well, that definitely makes sense in terms of your journey to the healthcare industry, which has an immense impact on people's lives. Let's talk about setting the industry standard. What unique role do you see Erie Family Health Center having in really setting that bar of thoughtful talent acquisition and retention in the healthcare industry?
Certainly. Erie Family Health Centers is well positioned in its commitment to not only community health, but also in our mission. We believe that everyone has a right to health care, regardless who they are. And our entire work is geared around making certain that we are addressing disparities in healthcare. Therefore, those individuals who are service-minded, who want to participate in improving society, we're the place to come. And I've noticed that since the pandemic has subsided, our applications are increasing. And I have a philosophy is that the Great Resignation means that people are leaving one organization and going to another organization where people have quit. So you just can't get too disturbed about the Great Resignation because many people are using this as an opportunity to align themselves with their own values. And if you're committed to community health and improving the healthcare of society, Erie is the place to come.
I love that a commitment to community health is really important, and folks are really reflecting on what they want to work 40 plus hours on as well, aligning with their personal values. How have you really thought about innovating in that talent acquisition space at really any part of the candidate experience?
That is really a challenge for all organizations, is how to be innovative in attracting the key candidates that you want. We have a very strong diversity, equity, and inclusion imperative. And from that end, we look at ensuring that our candidate slates represent our patients and our communities. And so within our 13 sites, we are highly visible and your results speak for themselves. And so we have an innovative approach to recruiting. We just don't do what I call post and pray. We use a variety of means of attracting individuals to our jobs. Key that has been quite helpful are employee referrals. And so our employees, if they refer someone and we hire them and they stay X number of months, then our employees get a bonus. So that's somewhat innovative, and many companies are doing that. But we also have hiring bonuses and retention bonuses. And we attempt to make certain that we have a variety of sources. Online, we've been using very effectively, as well as our own career site, but we've also used staffing agencies and executive search. So nobody's off limit to try to get talent.
Absolutely. And once you capture that talent and folks are really excited to be working with you as well, when you're thinking about kind of how engaged folks are, how are you redefining or re-examining that employee engagement, as well as the motivation, as we were talking about earlier, to be behind the vision of Erie Family Health Center?
That is a challenge. I tell people that when individuals get hired, they're very excited. Nobody starts in a position to put the company out of business. And so, how are we using that excitement to enrich the culture of the workplace? And so, the key to that is, of course, employee engagement. But you don't have engaged employees if your supervisors do not know how to manage both an environment of performance and an environment of enrichment. And so the key to that is not only onboarding the right talent, but providing supervisor development as to how to manage performance, how to reward performance, and how to also recognize that performance, not only through pay, but through recognition in the organization.
How do you set people up for success, create that framework? Recognition is so important in a path forward in terms of professional development, um,
Right.
and all of those factors that contribute to a really great place to work as well. You touched on this before too, and there's been still so much conversation around the Great Resignation. Can you touch on a little bit if Erie Family Health Center was affected by that at all as well?
We kind of were affected by it. Um, we had openings to begin with as a result of the pandemic. But what we did was establish our visibility of how we affected the positive outcomes for our patients. And that involved vaccine programs. We were one of the federally qualified health centers that were involved in the vaccine movement. Our organization did a little over 100,000 vaccinations. So in order for us to do that, we had to be in touch with the community, hire in contingent healthcare workers who were exposed to our environment and our culture. And some of those individuals we've been able to hire into roles. But healthcare has a challenge around not only recruiting, but retention. And so there are some positions that are high volume. Your medical assistants, your call centers are always high volume. And so we look at how can we bring forward some form of career advancement, career development. Also, what kind of rewards are we providing for their successful performance? So right now we are looking at attacking that from the standpoint of retention of our high volume numbers.
That is a lot of vaccines and a lot of impact on the community as well. And we're talking about distribution and access to high quality healthcare. The other question I wanted to ask you was around that growth for folks who are staying with you and want to develop their careers. Can you give an example of how you're investing in them and kind of the growth of your employees?
Right. In fact, we just finished a couple of cultural surveys to look at what can we do to ensure that our employees know that we care about them and we want to address any of their concerns about working here at Erie. And so some of it does relate to career advancement and development. So we're looking at career development around career ladders. We have a career ladder for our medical assistants and for our call center and also our front desk individuals. We also are an organization that has different learners. We have interns and residents. We've now become an institution that will also have pipelines of clinical workers, pipeline for medical assistants, We're launching a clinical experience for RNs next month. So we're creating our pipeline. We also have fellowships, and we have a fellowship for advanced nurse practitioners. And the last class that ended, we hired them all except for one. If I have my numbers correct, I believe we hired about 6 or 7. So we look at how we can grow our own and provide some sort of advantage for them if they come here. The challenge is providers, our MDs, DOs, etc. And everybody is in competition for those specialties. And so we want to really leverage our mission around everyone has the right to health care. And because we're a federally qualified health center, many of our providers and nurses are eligible for loan forgiveness. And so we are able to market that as a way of recruiting individuals.
Mm-hmm. That definitely makes sense in terms of talent and the folks at your organization too who are looking to grow their careers. Another way to really kind of show that you value someone and the work that they're doing is around that compensation as well. And I think you and I have talked earlier about how you've innovated around this over the past few years. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, it's very important that individuals are paid not only competitively, but also that we retain parity. So our compensation and benefits unit pays close attention to what's going on here in the marketplace. And in doing so, we've had to benchmark with our competitors. And that has resulted in an increase in hourly salary for our hourly employees. That makes it more competitive. When you have an increase in salary of your hourly employees, plus provide a career advancement for them, either in tuition reimbursement or a career ladder, you are beginning to address reasons to retain people. And so we have done that. Also, we want to make certain that we are paying for skills and we're paying for education. And as a result of that, that is the way you elevate your position and attract the professionals that you're looking for. It also gives an opportunity for employees here to see that there are opportunities. If they go to school, if they want to advance their career, there are positions they know that they can study and seek to move into.
Pay parity is something that we really value as well, and it's important to continually keep a pulse on too, to make sure that people are being paid equitably as well. And you talked about the employee voice and surveys a little bit. What role does the employee voice and just feedback of all kinds overall really play in your company culture at Erie?
We have a very affiliative culture. Our philosophy is around kind of an egalitarian approach to decision making. We are not a culture that unilaterally makes a decision. We welcome ideas. We have an opportunity to discuss. In our surveys of our employees, they are very frank with their perceptions, and we look to address those perceptions. And that is where we are right now as an executive leadership team. We are looking at what we can do to address some of the perceptions that came out of the many surveys and focus groups that have been done. And so we're trying to decide where the low-hanging fruit is, what we have been doing, that we can put together an entire plan so that people know the interrelationships between what we're doing currently and what this means to their perceptions of what they would like to have.
developing that psychological safety to receive all kinds of feedback is also critical to getting that authentic voice too. And once you have that feedback, the next step is how are you demonstrating that you're actively listening, consistently auditing the employee experience is so important. Pay parity is an example of this, but can you tell me a little bit about how you've redesigned a system to be more equitable over the past 2 years, whether it's a process, policy, or initiative?
We do have a policy around compensation that we evaluate where we are in terms of pay. And then we look at it on an ongoing basis. In fact, primarily on a yearly basis. Right now, we are preparing for end of year reviews, and with that, any merit or bonus raises. We also look at competitively, are we behind? If we are behind at a certain level of entry point, we will adjust. If that adjustment interferes with parity, then we adjust that entire job family. So in that sense, we don't want individuals to feel that you have to quit and then come back to Erie to get a raise. So we don't do that. And it is a policy that we are required by our board of directors to evaluate compensation. There's even an executive compensation committee to monitor what we're doing.
Policies are really important to kind of sending a message to what is valued at the organization as well, and creating those non-negotiables and a framework for, again, that success. Earlier we were talking about setting the industry standard in healthcare. Of course, without naming any specific names, are there any mistakes you see other kind of healthcare companies making in their people, HR, or talent strategy today?
Oh my goodness. I would think that a major error is not being open to the quote unquote noise that comes from the organizational norms and behavior. And you usually get noise when individuals don't understand. And when they don't understand and not have clarity, then they attempt to create their own answers. And then that is how misperceptions occur. Here at Erie, we have town hall meetings, and they occur almost quarterly, I would believe. And we also have DE&I forums as well, in addition to DE&I meetings for the entire organization. So we try to stay in touch with all of our employees and communicate with them. We have, of course, as most organizations have, an intranet whereby they can go and they can see what's going on. The challenge with intranets is that it tends to be very busy with a lot of narrative. And so there has been an attempt to segment it so that one can only read that which they want to read. To answer your question, I think most organizations make an error in not being creative and not looking at different ways of getting things done and listening to the new voice that comes in.
I think those are great patterns to highlight as well, being always open to infusing that creativity into design and really thinking about pushing past, quote unquote, business as usual as well. Is there anything that I didn't directly ask that you would like to share with folks who are listening, or underscore any key takeaways you've discussed around the employee voice, around what you're doing differently at Erie, or your journey to this work?
Thank you for addressing that. I just would like to say that an organization is as successful as they are in understanding the needs of the employee and being able to balance the needs of the employee with the needs of the organization and the clients or patients they serve. And if one loses sight of the employees, particularly in healthcare, one loses sight of why we exist for society and the community.
Seek to understand your people, your clients, the folks who are coming to you, anyone who's interacting with your employer brand overall. Valeria, thank you so much for being on Reimagining Company Culture this afternoon.
Well, thank you for asking me. This was a great afternoon for me.
Of course, and as a reminder for folks who are listening at AllVoices, we really believe in employees and employers being seen, heard, and understood, and know it's a requirement for the business to really succeed overall. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.